The winter in New York was brutal that year. The wind howled through the narrow alleyways, carrying with it the kind of chill that seeps deep into your bones. The city, though lit with festive lights and shimmering windows, was anything but warm. Beneath the surface of wealth and glamour, countless stories of struggle unfolded every night, unheard, unseen, and forgotten. Billionaire Ethan Cole had never cared to look beyond his world of power and profit. His empire, Cole Enterprises, stretched across continents. He had everything money could buy: luxury yachts, penthouses, a calendar full of high society events. But what he didn't have anymore was a heart that felt. That changed on one fateful night. Ethan was on his way to a charity gala, ironically, one organized by his own foundation, when he noticed a small crowd near Central Park. At first, he was annoyed. He had no time for drama. But something tugged at him. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was the silent cry of a soul in pain. He stepped out of his sleek black car, his polished shoes crunching against the snow-covered sidewalk. As he pushed through the crowd, what he saw made his breath catch in his throat. A young woman, barely in her 20s, lay unconscious on a bench. Her face was pale, lips blue from the cold. In her arms, two tiny babies wrapped in tattered blankets, clinging to her, trembling violently. One let out a weak cry, the other was terrifyingly still. Time froze. Ethan dropped to his knees, ignoring the wet slush soaking his expensive pants. "Someone call an ambulance," he shouted. But no one moved. They just watched. Without hesitation, Ethan took off his wool coat, wrapped it around the babies, and gently lifted the woman in his arms. The driver opened the door, and Ethan shouted again, "Take us to the nearest hospital. Now." That night, something shifted. At the hospital, doctors rushed them into the ER. The woman, they said, was severely malnourished and suffering from hypothermia. The babies, a boy and a girl, had dangerously low body temperatures. Ethan didn't leave. He sat in the cold waiting area, staring at the flickering fluorescent lights above, haunted by the sight of those children. He hadn't held a baby since his wife. Since that devastating night when he lost both her and their unborn child during childbirth. When morning came, a nurse approached him. "She's awake. She's asking for you." He walked into the room, unsure what he'd say. The woman looked fragile, her face bruised by life's cruelty, but her eyes were strong. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Just someone who couldn't walk away," he said softly. Tears pooled in her eyes. "Thank you for saving my babies. What's your name?" "Mia," she said. "And these are Lily and James." Her voice cracked as she spoke. She told him how her husband had died in a hit-and-run accident 6 months ago. How his family had refused to help. How she'd sold everything, fought to feed her babies, and finally ended up on the street when she had nothing left. She hadn't eaten in days. "I didn't care if I died," she whispered, "but I couldn't let them die." Ethan felt something deep inside him unravel. Guilt. Pain. Compassion. He reached out and gently held her hand. "You're not alone anymore," he said. He arranged for Mia and her babies to move into a temporary home. Hired caregivers. Paid for their clothes, food, medical care. But more than that, he visited every day. He brought books for the children, talked to Mia, listened. For the first time in years, he wasn't running from pain. He was healing. 3 weeks later, he asked Mia to come to his office. "I'm launching a new program," he said. "For homeless mothers. But I don't want to just donate money. I want someone who understands what it feels like to lead it. I want you to lead it." Mia was stunned. "Me? You're stronger than anyone I know." Months passed. The program grew. The media caught on. Headlines read, "Billionaire forms alliance with homeless mother to change lives." But the biggest moment came when Ethan stood on a national stage with Mia beside him. "We are launching the Mia Foundation," he announced. "Named after the bravest woman I've ever met. This is for every mother who thinks the world has forgotten her." The world listened. Donations poured in. Homes were built. Families were restored. Years later, at a high school auditorium, a boy stepped up to the podium at his graduation. He looked out at the crowd, at his mother, now a respected leader and speaker, and then at the man who raised him like his own. "When I was a baby," he said, his voice steady but emotional, "my mother was lying unconscious on a bench, and I was almost gone. But a man stopped. Not a hero. Not a saint. Just a man with a heart. He gave us warmth, love, and a future. Today, I call him Dad." Ethan Cole wiped a tear as he stood to a standing ovation. And in that moment, the billionaire who once lived without feeling, became the heart of a movement that reminded the world, sometimes, a single act of compassion doesn't just save lives.